Real treat and an honor for the Tribeca Film Festival to present this 50th anniversary screening of Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather. It's a towering achievement in filmmaking and storytelling. Tonight you'll see a new restoration on the big screen in this beautiful theater.
Been in a lot of films, so you get a little bit of you sort of try to be fair to yourself.
Right.
Try to understand the film. But when I saw the film, you're young, you don't know, and till this day, you just don't know how anything is till you see it with an audience. An audience tells you the film you made. They just do. It allows you, when you see a film you've made, to back away. Like I often said, it's like a painting. When someone does a painting, or if I do a painting, I don't really see it until I back away. When I'm close to the canvas, I just don't see the painting. I back up, I start to see it.
Right.
Same thing with a film. Film as an audience is that for a film. It allows you to get that distance and see what's really there. At least when I was young, that was the case.
Well, I want to sort of talk, when you talk about distances, and you mentioned this a minute ago, you grew up just, a few miles from here.
Yeah.
If the rumors are to be believed, you papered your door with your headshots, right?
This is strange. I was a superintendent, knowing nothing about how things work, of course. But my friend got married, and he was the super. And he says, I got a roof over your head. I had nowhere to go, So I went, and I was a super in a little tiny room apartment. And I knew this Greek guy, a couple of buildings down. He said, you have trouble, call the Greek guy. So I kept calling the Greek guy, and he'd come over and fix it. And I was there for a while, and I had an 8x10 glossy picture of myself. Actors take these pictures. How I got the money enough to get a photo, but it was a pretty good photo. And it was of me. I was like 22, 23. I put it on the door of my superintendent job, the door of the apartment I lived in, with Band-Aids.
Because you couldn't afford good tape?
I couldn't afford tape. Now I'm a super, I don't have tape. Not that. So there it was.
That's why you had to call it Greek. That's why you had to call it Greek, because you didn't even have tape.
I had to call the Greek, yes. He had Band-Aids. And that was it. I was a super. They always wanted to let me go. Why they kept me till this day, I don't know.
Well, you're lucky, because Coppola comes along, he knows about you, and what I'm getting towards is...
Yeah, well, I did a few things before Coppola got me.
I know, but we don't have 50 years to talk about it, so we're going to be tight. Okay, so, if any of you have never gone on YouTube, you can find them. They are the test screenings that Coppola put together. No, they're amazing because a young Al is there along with a young Diane Keaton and other people, and it's what's fascinating. You just look at tonight is the building blocks of Michael Corleone, the character, are there from the beginning. You've got this low voice that makes you lean in. You have these eyes, which, as George Lucas's wife said at the time, hanging out in San Francisco, she said to Francis, cast Al, because you got eyes that undress you, right? So,
Called bedroom eyes.
bedroom eyes.
Get down there. Asked me a question about me seeing the film, but I haven't.
So, But the first time, when
The first
when
time,
was it the premiere or a screening with Coppola?
the first time I saw it was with Francis Coppola. Showed me the first cut of the film, meaning the first time he edited it, completed it, he showed it to me.
And you thought what?
I thought it was, you know, good. But I was looking at myself too.
And how did you think that guy was?
Oh, that was terrible. As far as my eyes could see, I thought, what am I doing? And then I had notes, believe it or not. I went back to Francis Coppola in his office, and I had written notes. And he asked me how I felt about the film, and I handed him my notes.
And do you remember?
He didn't read them, he didn't do anything. He didn't need them, actually. It was a wonderful film. At the time, I remember thinking, you know, we hadn't got any reaction yet.
Right.
Because people hadn't seen it yet. But I saw it, I thought it was pretty good, you know.
I want to get to now, how did you build the character of Michael?
You know, it's interesting. I'll try to be articulate, if I could. Because I couldn't back then. You know, they want to fire me. I think that's...
2 weeks into the job.
Yeah, I mean, no, before that. They never wanted me as Francis Coppola.
Well, they didn't even want you. At one point, there were more than 40 guys ahead of you, right?
I didn't hear, you know, something's wrong with these mics. Are you hearing us?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Can't hear you. Why is it? I think if you hold them back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. This is a vaudeville act. Yeah. This is good.
Al,
Yeah.
they're waiting.
Guys, I didn't know what I was doing in the part. Francis Coppola called me. I knew him from before. I had done a play on Broadway, and he came to see me in it. Now, I didn't know he was there. And he sent me a script, and the script was a love story. And he wanted me to go to San Francisco and meet him so I could play the lead in this love story. It was about a professor. It was a very good script. It was very almost mythological, and yet it was real. It was just great. I really liked it. I went out there, and of course, he was at Zoetrope, and you had Spielberg, you had George Lucas, De Palma, Scorsese. They were all there at this place. They were kids, and they were together. They were you know, that was the 70s coming. You know, it was that kind of group. So I met them, but I hung with Francis for 4 or 5 days. Then I went back. I never heard from him again. Well, no, because they didn't want to use us. They didn't want me in the film. They didn't want to do the film. They didn't want him. You know, it was Hollywood at the time, and I didn't fit in that kind of thing. Anyway, a year goes by. I get a phone call from Francis Coppola. I have been working as an actor in New York a little bit, you know. Nobody knows me. I made this film though called The Panic in Needle Park. Woo! It's a good film. And I was in that. And what happened was it didn't get released yet. It got released later. And and he called me, and I said, Francis, like someone from the past. I said, hi, how are you? I remember I liked him. I thought he was very smart, and I thought he was very gifted. He just could tell something. And he did this thing. He called me and he said, hi, Al. I said, hi. It's Francis. I said, Francis. Hi, Francis. How are you? He says, I'm fine. I'm doing The Godfather. I thought, what did he say? Because it was the biggest book around, biggest film. I thought maybe, you know, he'd been out of work or something. was having a bit of a breakdown or something. I didn't ever. Why is he saying this to me? He's not doing The Godfather. It's impossible. First of all, the first thing I did think, is Paramount must be very smart to pick him. That's the first thing I thought. That was my first thought. Then I thought he was nuts. And then he said this, and I just said, oh, okay. That's great, Francis. Wow. He says, yeah. He says, you know the book? I said, yeah, I do. He said, yeah. Well, I want you to play Michael. I thought, Michael? How do you play Michael? That was the first thing I thought. I wanted to play Sonny, Sonny was Jimmy Carr, But I said, oh, okay, I said, Michael, yeah. He says, I want you for this part. I said, I didn't say it to him. I thought, there's no way I'm gonna get the part. You can't, you know what I mean? There were all these big movie stars out there. I thought, what do they want? How am I ever gonna get that kind of a role? I don't want it, I'm doing all right. My life's okay, simple. I play the piano sometimes, I go to the theater, I read, I'm in New York. New York can get everything. New York feeds you, You don't need anything else. Woo! So, turns out, I didn't do it! I'm so stupid, sometimes I just say silly things. But anyway, bear with me. I get it, it was exciting. I didn't know what was going on. He wanted me, then I did something. That this is going to be something that probably will hit the internet. And I've kept it quiet all these years. But I have to say it tonight. Because I don't know when I'll ever get a chance again to say it. I said to my grandmother, who was the only one left, I was brought up by my grandmother and my grandfather and my mother. And my mother and my grandfather had passed years before. And so I called Granny and I told her, Grandma, I said, Granny, I'm in The Godfather. It was a long pause. And she said, oh, as she always would say, she didn't know about that. She hung up, she calls me back about a half hour later, and she says, oh, you're in that thing, the book came out. Oh, yeah, I just want to say, that's where Granddaddy was born.
Oh.
I said, where? And she said, Corleone.
Bravo! Bravo!
And to God, I didn't even know where my grandfather was born. How about that?
That's amazing.
I didn't know it was Corleone. Talk about fate, huh? How about destiny?
Woo!
So I believe